Welcome, everyone. My name is Tatiana Olinik, and thank you very much for joining us today to attend our new lecture. Today we talk about the voices of the city, how to make them heard. Before we start, I would like to ask you to commemorate the memory of the Heavenly 100 and the Revolution of Dignity of 2014, which became one of the largest and most important events, steps towards independence, which showcased the will of Ukrainians to participate in shaping the future of our country. And I would like to focus on the resilience of our society and once again say that the Heavenly 100 sacrificed themselves for freedom, and we will remember this forever. And many people are still fighting for our freedom, and we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Ukrainian army for giving us this opportunity to be here and to talk to you about hearing the voices of the city to make them more beautiful and more efficient. So I would like to give the floor to our guests, and my co-host, Lilith Bradels, will introduce the first speaker.
Thank you, Tatjana. And yes, welcome on behalf of me as well. Again, a reminder of the choice of language. We will repeat that and maybe put it in the chat as well. The option to choose your language is in the bottom of your screen. You can choose between English or Ukrainian language as you prefer. I am very happy to welcome our guests also today. We are in the Ro3kvit lecture series, and this is number 21 already. We promised, not specifically maybe this lecture, but related to it already a year ago, I just saw when I looked it up. Because it is part of the UHerit series, which is a project by Ro3kvit and multiple partners, in which the influence and the necessity and the use of heritage in reconstruction is being discussed and tested, let's say. So we had a lecture first, so if you want to know more about this whole project, and have a look back at our YouTube channel for the lecture number 17. The whole project of UHerit is led by Ro3kvit, who is our the lead from Lithuania. So we have two partners here in that project who will give an introduction to the topic and the way that they interpreted in their projects participation as a method. I'm also very happy to do that because I'm very interested and curious myself because I'm leading a new project within Ro3kvit, which is called Communities at the Heart of Urban Change, which is about municipalities who want to involve the citizens better in their projects. And in doing so, we really notice how difficult it is to do so. So it sounds like participation is this term that everybody is using and maybe overusing at some point, but it's not that easy. And especially it's not that easy in the circumstances at this moment in Ukraine, where there's a war going on and where citizens might be thinking of other things, and also municipalities. If they want to do a project, they want to do it fast and they want to do it now. And then it seems easier to just do it and not have the hassle, as it's often perceived, on working with this with the citizens and all the stakeholders and take them all along. So therefore we have gathered some good examples, and we'll discuss the good examples, but also the failures. I ask my speakers to think about those as well, and because we can learn from those. So the format of tonight is two speakers, Tove Levonen and Ülar Mark, who will give a very opposite direction of participatory projects. And we asked two Ukrainians who have a lot of experience in the field, Marianna Kuzemska and Daryna Pasyuta, to react on those talks and tell a little bit from their own experience. In the end, we will gladly hear also the opinion of all the attendees to this lecture and gladly answer your questions. Please already, if you have them going on, we will do that in the end, but please put them in the Q&A so we can prepare. And again, you can do that in Ukrainian or in English as you prefer. I shouldn't talk too long, so I first give the word to Tove Levonen, co-founder and project manager at the Swedish independent foundation Shared City. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to share my screen here and see if you can see my presentation. Now you can see everything, but soon you'll be able to see my presentation. Can you see it? Okay, good. I'm here to talk about Her City, the Her City Toolbox, and it's a joint project between Shared City Foundation and UN Habitat. And we have developed this toolbox to guide urban actors to facilitate participatory processes from beginning to end. So this is a step-by-step guide, and it's a digital platform and open source. So it's available for everyone that wants to use it, free of charge. And you can find it at hercity.org. So the scope that we have and our aim is to design a city with girls, because we see that then it works for everyone. So pinpointing girls in the participatory process has been very important for us, because we see that they are change agents within their community. So it's a very good way of tackling social and environmental obstacles and goals when we deliver urban solutions. And we find that when girls are consulted, they contribute with very innovative urban solutions that works for everyone, not only their demographic. But this is built on a intersectional approach. So we do not only work with girls in our teams, and you don't only have to work with girls using the Her City Toolbox, but we see that they stand very far from decision-making generally and in traditional processes. So it's very important to have that gender aspect. But we have also used the Her City Toolbox to work with refugees or disabled people, and in some contexts, older women. Just pinpointing the marginalized or the groups at risk of marginalization is the approach that we are trying to push here with the Her City Toolbox. So, as I said, we plan together with girls. We form multi-stakeholder teams where girls are a considered part of that, and they're considered expert throughout the process. And this way we get a project team that supports, or in a process that supports girls in these areas, and give them agency and a voice. But we also see that it's a very efficient way of for decision makers to make informed decisions. When we have this bottom-up approach, we get solutions that are based on actual needs in the communities, and we get cost-efficient solutions, because the solutions themselves are often cost-efficient, but they're also a very valuable asset, because you would need to either redo a project or a solution, or you would have to pay copious amounts for consultants. So it's a very efficient way of doing a project from that sense as well. So Her City itself, it's the toolbox. As I said, we support urban development from underrepresented perspectives, and it's a guide to lead these kinds of projects. And we see that it's a good way of doing the facilitating the dialogue between professionals and citizens. So the toolbox itself is structured in the traditional way, or like following the traditional phases of urban development. We have an assessment phase where we do a stakeholder engagement, and we look at the city or site specific, depending on what the need is for the specific project. So we gather data and analyze data together with the multi-stakeholder group and the target group. And then we have a design phase where we analyze those challenges and look at the data collected and design ideas. We use Minecraft for designing ideas as a way of bridging between the professionals and non-professionals. So it's the method kit, the block by block workshop incorporated in this. And then we formalize recommendations for actions. Who's supposed to do what, and what time estimate would be suitable for this particular solutions, and then we prioritize among solutions, but because we usually get a lot. And then we implement, so working together with architects to actually translating the Minecraft into real drawings, because you can't really build Minecraft houses. They will be very, very thick. I think it's 1 meter, 1 block. So we do that, and then we implement and follow up. And so each block has a different set of tools. So it's very detailed, and that's why it's very flexible, and you can pick and choose what's suitable for your context. But each block has an activity and a step with different tools in it. And we have not invented all the tools. We have partnered up with people that have done this for ages, because we saw that we don't want to reinvent the wheel all the time. So we have gathered digital tools that have been tested in very different settings all throughout the world. So we have like several tools that are just very good for project management, like checklists, calendars, agendas, manuals, and so on. And then we have tools that are like an app in their own sense, or a game like Minecraft in their own sense. So Inhabit Place or Kobo Collect and Method Kit are tools that are incorporated within the process. So, and the thing that we found here we are. The thing that has been very good with that, using tools that have been tested throughout a very tough urban contexts many times, is that we can see that it works in different areas. We have tested Her City, or we have done Her Cities throughout 5 continents so far, and we have a very good results. So as I said, the toolbox itself is open source and free to use. So we have, last time I checked, it was 420 independent initiatives using the Her City toolbox around the world, but we have had 20 UN partner projects looking at what happens when we use the entire process. And what we can see, independent of cultural context, really, is that we get ecosystem services, a lot of focus on multifunctional solutions, and we get a lot of social areas where different demographics meet, and they're usually quite low cost or even free activities to occupy the public space more than it's being occupied in several places as of today. And it's also a lot of focus on mobility, both in terms of like accessibility and pavements and so on, but also public transport solutions, because it's not a target group that's really car bound. They're usually dependent on buses and so on to get around. So I just wanted to show some before and after pictures from, this is the project that we did in Beirut. After the blast, the stairs were all blown up. So they did a rebuilding project together with, the target group there was kids. So they focused on rebuilding and creating spaces for children. And this is the pilot that we did in Sweden, where we focused on girls. And we saw that the drug sellers moved away from the city square, and it became a space for families instead. And that was one of the main problems that the municipality had identified before, and that's why they wanted to do this. It was a social innovation project in the beginning. And I think that the quote from the mayor from that municipality is quite pinpoints why we do this, that we can simply not afford to fail. We don't have resources like on the planet for that, and we usually don't have time or money to fail too many times. Yeah, and this was in Lima, where they focused on parking lots really that were unsafe or felt unsafe, and it became more social areas instead. I just wanted to answer the question that I always get. We don't only focus on girls. We can use this to incorporate boys as well, and they are very important in the urban planning and design, of course. But we want to highlight the needs of those who don't have a say usually. I think I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. Concise and nice to hear this special focus group and this special attention to a certain group. We will for sure get back to that as a method and how that can work or is important to take into consideration. But let's first hear Ülar Mark, Estonian architect and founder of the Urban Mark architecture. Please, could you share your screen on the urban hackathon method? Thank you.
Hi. I'm happy to be here also to show what we have done in. We started it as an urban forum, but as you see, we changed it urban hackathon because it's more close to the quick hack than long big forum. So from this year we changed it to urban hackathon. So. But what is Urban Hackathon really what we did? First, Urban Hackathon in Estonia was 2009. And it was a kind of problematic situation in public discussion because there was really I would describe that were several silos who worked their own kind of rules. And I would start from architects, which kind of, they know what they do, their job, they are professionals, and they kind of don't have good touch to the public media or municipalities or politicians or property owners, or they have contact with property owners only business-wise. So the problem was also, I would say, in Estonia during these years in Tallinn, that there was a corruption in city government. We know it now, later. And it means that all these things were kind of holding this kind of open discussion outside of the media or outside of a really honest discussion. So we try to bring all these different sides, but different sides and different professionals. I would just name some of them, like architects, landscape architects, property owners, politicians, municipalities, cultural managers, whatever, traffic engineers. So we try to bring them into one discussion table, a round table. But it was not so easy at all in the first stage. Even the politicians said that I will not come to this kind of event because you're just shouting there that we do everything wrong. And also property owners said that the architects and city planners are not those who really know what is really happening around here. So there was kind of first 1-2 forums or city hacks that was really difficult to bring people kind of honestly into a round table. But what the Urban Hackathon really is, what we did, it's like 2 days event for testing ideas and finding solutions to address a specific spatial challenge. And why we think it's really important to have not just a discussion about some themes or discussion about the problems is that when you have general discussion, then it usually leads to very broad area. It's really hard to concentrate into some clear. It's very hard to bring it into concentrated discussion. So that's why it's. We believe that it's important to bring this balanced public discussion to architecture and city planning with a spatial question, which is connected really to the some sites. It's much easier. So I would say I would show the first city forum. Now we call it City Hackathon, sorry, but in Tallinn port area, and there was really different sides, and usually I believe that we need this kind of hackathon, especially when there is a very big conflict between different, not conflict with people can sit down in one table, but they are very different interests. Traffic engineers need really running flow, traffic flow. For example, Tallinn port needs a very closed area around them to be operating with big cargo ships. And the public, of course, would like to have a good access. So there is always kind of conflicting crisscrosses. So that's we believe that this hackathon will be the way how to really bring these all things together. So there have been 17 forum then, and there is basically 2 main things what we do. First of all, we do small teams, up to 5 people, and then we have a presentation later to the larger audience. So to understand what we really did, I will just show some drawings and things, because you can't do during the 2 days too much. So we can only make our mind clear of what should we do in the future. So that was the area, and basically very shortly one group, they talked about discontinuities. The red is Old Town and blue is a sea. Then there is a passion belt, how to have it continuous passion belt or North Corridor or green area. Then there is a kind of border, which is closing the pedestrian flow. Then is a green corridor called Cultural Kilometer. Then there is a coastline. People would like to walk around, and then the connections generally. And also there is still quite empty areas, and what will be the texture of these new areas. So, and all together, this bring these kind of symbols together, and it really gives idea to everybody that we can agree that all these things are important to solve. And then some kind of spatial uses, temporary things like concerts and walkings and events. Okay, then we have one other slides, and I would like to show different outcomes so that you can understand it. Don't have to be kind of, yeah, it's very nicely done 3D or computer wise, but it's more important that the ideas are bringed up, and it can be drawings and pictures. What is showing what it should be, kind of what is idea. So just quickly go through what kind of connections we need, and what is the pedestrian areas we have here, and how it can be solved, and what again main streets. I'm not going too deep on it. There's a lot of discussion with every line of drawn here. So some squares and some building areas, and then what kind of events can be also seasonally it be. And if you put them all together, then you will get some kind of layered city out of it. What we always say that be careful, architects especially, that we are not doing during this hackathon cool things, because it has to be also publicly understandable that it's not kind of architects black and white stuff. It's more or less that people can read it, and they visually can understand it also without being professional to reading architectural drawings. So this is a picture of first hackathon in Ukraine. And again, it's a first day's kind of lectures of what is a content, what are the problems around, then the site visit, just few photos of it. Then we will visit usually also our city municipality will visit our space, or we here in Ukraine visiting municipality also, what are their problems. And then this is already shows when the groups are explaining their ideas, the others. And what is important that we all these different 5 people groups with 5, there will be like 4 or 5 groups. Every group has a 5 specialists, or also the local people, some of the groups, so they are so mixed that everybody do the same task of same area. So it gives kind of open idea of different possibilities of doing it. It rising up the most important things of it. So and very generally, what Urban Hackathon is, this is a neutral ground. This is a discussion platform, discussion ground for different professionals. This is not architecture stuff for architects. It's generally important to understand. This is a plurality of options, looking for root questions or basic ideas. And it's also working with dream team, because there is so many different professions. And it's also what if test ground, and always somebody's going really direction which shows that all the ideas don't have to be good. I mean, you can take risks here. So, and what the Urban Hackathon is not, it's not legal document. It's not kind of one truth. and that is not correct ideology how to do it, and that is it is not property owner project, and this would not be the position of the city, and it's not the truth of architects and city planners, and I think it's that's all basically. I think it's important that these things are working together, and it comes out different connections between these different professions. Thank you.
We can see a raised hand from Victor Rebokin. Victor, would you like to ask a question? So you can ask a question now, maybe. Yeah, I can see you have the...
Yes, thank you. I would love to ask Tove about possibilities of collaboration, because our team is building 15-minute city near Kyiv, and we are very interested to apply inclusive approaches to it, and we already have some members of consortium. So it seems like you could be a perfect fit to already existing practices that we developed through the last 3 years. Our team is working on this project for almost 3 years, from March of 2022. So we'll be happy to learn if you could be open for collaboration. And also my question is about the way how you choose projects to support, or it's chosen randomly, or it's basically some voting process for you, how it's decided. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's really very flattering. We're always interested in collaborations, and we work with the 15-minute city as well. This is a very boring answer, but it's always a matter of funding. So we apply for funding for all the projects that we do, unfortunately. So that's how we decide. If we see if we're approached with an interesting proposal where we see that her city fits and the team wants our support, then we submit an application together for a suitable donor.
Thank you.
So that's how it works. But yeah, I can share my email in the chat, and anyone who wants to talk more about her city can just email me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rebokin, for your question. And also, please, everyone, get your questions ready for our discussion part, which we have planned for the second part of our webinar. Thank you very much, dear Tove, dear Ülar, for your presentations. And now I would like to ask a question to two more of our colleagues attending this webinar. Daryna Pasyuta, architect and urbanist of Ro3kvit Coalition, and Marianna Kuzemska-Danyliuk, who is the head of the urban department at Cedos think tank. So my suggestion is, well, because you have such a long participatory experience in working with Ukraine, and also you have participated in the hackathons, including the Zhytomyr hackathon in this year. So I would like to ask you to share your experience and to in the Ukrainian context in terms of participation. I can see also a comment from Dmitro in our chat, who is presenting one more challenge, I think, to be discussed. So in your opinion, how successful participatory practices presented by Ülar and Tove could be in Ukraine, or what formats could be the most efficient for Ukraine? Daryna, I think, can I ask you to start? Thank you very much. Right. I would like to start with saying that the experience we gained together in Zhytomyr when we hosted our Estonian colleagues and when we started these joint consultations and joint work concerning several objects in Zhytomyr, it was really cool and efficient for everyone, especially now. Because today in Ukraine, we talk quite a lot about rebuilding, everything is going very quickly, and these issues and processes are rather complex. The economy of it, the politics of it, the international aid involved in these processes are important aspects. And there are cases when architects could act like doctors who are given a recipe and given some suggestions, some kind of drugs, medicines to treat a specific case. There are cases when architects work as artisans, when there are cases when architects work as artists who say, I have come and I know better. At the end of 2022, this was the case in Kharkiv when we had a story there of Norman Foster being invited, and unfortunately we didn't see any public hearing related to this invitation. We never witnessed any dialogue, and I didn't see any outcome. So it had to be a kind of a gift, but no one asked the residents whether they wanted this gift, whether this gift could be a white elephant. So it is very important in our situation of very fast here and now rebuilding, in this situation of very complex processes, it is very important for architects to start this dialogue and to focus on the process rather than on the result, and to be ready to be not the leader, but to pass the leadership to somebody else. Because in our institutes of architecture, in our schools of architecture, we were not taught how to resolve such comprehensive issues and comprehensive challenges. And in our situation, every building, every space must be meaningful for people. And we must take these cultural, social context into account. So it is very good that we see the dialogue started, that we see it is very good to have such hackathons like the one in Zhytomyr to start the dialogue, to engage the community for all sorts of professionals and local residents so that we could together think about the objects in question. And Marianna, I think that I will give the floor to you. Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for the presentation. I also was a participant of the hackathon, so I will refer more to the second presentation, but I would like also say that I have a question to Ms. Levonen, but I will continue with it later. So this hackathon was really a very useful experience because it allowed to use this very informal process, very informal format, to see and to witness some very interesting things. By my training, I am an historian. So for me, it was very interesting to witness the social processes, how we are starting to think how to reshape the space. And it was very important to talk to architects and to see how they see these processes. So I can give some reflection about my group. My group included quite a lot of representatives of the city, of the local self-governing bodies. So maybe it is difficult to generalize here, but quite often our municipalities think within their authority, think as professionals and very narrow professionals. And some people actually are quite isolated, but at the same time, they are users of the city. They live in the city, and it is very important for them to think also about the city as its residents. Unfortunately, in Ukraine, it is a very common case when the authorities think that we have the responsibility about the city, and if we fail, we will be punished. So some out-of-the-box solutions are not quite possible. So it is very important during such hackathons to test, to try to reveal the city dwellers in them, because they are also using them. Their children are walking their streets, they are using the playing grounds, they visit the same cinema halls. So it is a good stimulus to bridge the gap between the municipality and the community. Unfortunately, we have quite a lot of lack of trust towards the authorities, and such hackathons really build this trust and bring those different groups together. This is my own experience. Informal practices of participation were great here. Sometimes it is the first time during such hackathons when local residents meet their deputies, their representatives in the municipality. So, and they do so informally. And I would like also to ask a question really to Ms. Levonen, because you have a very interesting, exciting methodology, and I can see that the toolkit that you presented shows how complex your approach is. So I suppose that you had similar audiences in different projects. What was the influence of the cultural context? What was on your projects? Maybe across continents. Can you please make a comment here how culture impacts the project?
Yeah, absolutely. Culture, of course, impacts the project in that sense that you mentioned before, that the participants actually use and live in the city. So the proposals that we get, the design proposals, and the final result is really a reflection of local culture. And when it comes to the approach itself and designing the projects, we see that because we recruit locally, so we work with local architects, we work with the municipality, and that's a way of building that, getting that ingrained, getting the local culture as a way of choosing what tools to use here, what's most suitable, what's the means of communication that works here, and focus on what they, based on their experience, think will work. So you don't have to do the whole toolbox if it's not seen as suitable. So that's two different aspects to that. And then we also we want to use the Her City Toolbox to address different obstacles. In some contexts, it has been quite hard to talk about gender, for instance, because that has been a very sensitive subject. And then we have focused more on youth participation as a way of getting around those more, in sometimes cultural barriers. So I think that being quite open to adjusting the process has been key to make it work in so many different cultural contexts.
Thank you so much. So much is brought up already in the discussion, and please all feel free to jump in and ask each other's questions. I have a lot. I ask to the audience again in the Zoom, please put your questions in the Q&A. That's easier to keep track on them, then we know where they are. There is one, and that is related to my question, so I'll combine that. And that is somebody who says in my city, it's actually the citizens, including and the authorities, that both think like the city is not belonging to the citizens. I have my apartment, I have my own environment that belongs to me, and the rest, the others take care of it, or the authorities will take care of that. How do you think you could change that mentality from the citizens and the authorities, so that it becomes this common ground to take care of the city, that it belongs to all? And it's basically a question to all four of you, so whoever wants to jump in, please do.
Should I start? You can fill in.
Yep.
It's a very tricky situation, of course, if no one sees that the citizens have a role in making the city work. And it's not that unheard of, and it's not that weird either, because if it's always been done in a way, why challenge that? I think that working with civil society organizations is one way of like going around and building that kind of proof of concept, getting more voices from people that think that it's an important perspective, and working that kind of, again, bottom up, to just build political will around that, and really highlighting the added values of having a participatory process. It's not only an actual space that works for everyone, but it's a way of participating in public life as well, and getting more of a sense of ownership of the city, and that leads to less vandalism and stuff like that. So really pinpointing different added values that can be interesting for politicians, and through local NGOs is usually a good way of getting that trust from citizens.
Okay, I will go further here. When we're talking about participation here, then I think the participation for architects are important in two main points. One point is to understand what to do. And if there is no kind of participation democracy in a level of where we will change the city, then we're doing formal projects. So it's very important that they give not only feedback, but they give the birth of these ideas. So the other end is that if there is enough participation during this, then as you said, that it's important that politicians are taking this to their like a task. And this is again, when there is a participation happening, then it's possible that things are happening. Things are not happening because of genius architect is making genius project and everybody saying this is a genius and we do it. No, the society works with the good or bad, but mass of the people. If enough people would like to do, then it will happen. So it's important to have this kind of participation.
Anyone? Daryna, Marianna?
I would like to add here also that such paradigm that I live inside my flat and everything else is public ownership and I'm not committed to that. This is, I think, the legacy of the colonization of the USSR colonization. So this is a truly traditional planning economy approach from the top downwards, and all kind of initiative was being killed. But historically, in our culture, these grassroots initiatives, these community idea can be traced very clearly in the history of Ukraine since Yaroslav the Wise, early medieval age, when the law, the first written law was published, so that people, instead of taking revenge, would go to the court to get the solution of the problems. And also Cossacks had a joint system of governance, because we had registered Cossacks, but also we had free Cossacks, and these also gave some very bright manifestations during the Magdeburg Ride, such as Magdeburg law, which was the license given to such cities as Lviv and Kamenets-Podilsk, and these cities were authorized to have self-governance, and so they established their own municipalities. Another example can be that certain kings, to prevent that is, so the municipal authorities were elected even in the Middle Ages, and so the king, to protect the community from the abuse of power, let's say, there would be elected bodies who would protect the population. So I would like to say here that the decentralization reform that is conducted in Ukraine has resulted in the power being given back to the communities, so that the communities could understand that the money they earn will be not taken away, but they themselves can deal with their own budget. And so this understanding now is reborn in communities. And of course, the Revolution of Dignity played a great role in that, especially in big cities, but also in small communities, people feel that they are responsible and they have the decision powers. And now, as you know, all Ukrainians are making donations. They understand that their participation means a lot. And this gives me an idea that, well, a hope rather, that after the end of the war, people will carry on doing that, because they can see that their small contributions mean a lot. And I hope that in future people will join initiatives and continue to support grassroots initiatives.
Thanks. That's a positive note, and reminding us that it's actually quite a good day to have this lecture today. Then, Marianna, please.
I would like to give a somewhat unusual perspective. I think it's not about the opposition between the authorities versus the community, but I would like to refer to our own initiative. Daryna mentioned this. We had quite a lot of negative experience during many years. It was induced by the Soviet Union, and there was a proverb in this part of the world: initiative is punishable. So in our community, unfortunately, our elderly population got used to the fact that everything is going to be decided for you. So you will get something at least, maybe not very comfortable, maybe not very convenient, but just stay put and don't be too active. So I was actually researching that, but I can say that at school, when I was a schoolgirl, we didn't have any support for joint action, for joint initiatives. So our school experience showed that, well, we were afraid to make a mistake. So now when people think whether to start some initiative, when they're thinking this, they can be concerned that their initiative can be punished, can get no support, and then they will have to go and plant those flowers themselves without any support, or they will do the cleaning themselves. So they are afraid to stay alone. But I think that today is a really good day to start speaking about this, because 11 years ago we were not alone. We were together. And now I think, again, we should start educating our children, starting from preschool, to act together, to think together, and to make mistakes together, and to show that this is a normal process. Today, we are living through difficult times, and the price of mistakes is very high, and maybe we are afraid to make some fatal mistakes. But to think together, to go to downscale a bit, to think about in the scale of a house, in the scale of a courtyard, I think it is possible for us. And this is the beginning of our joint action. Thank you very much, Marianna. Thank you very much, Daryna, dear colleagues. We have two questions here about transgressing the courtyard, going beyond your neighborhood. So our attendees ask how to start the cooperation with the municipality, how to engage them. And our guests here highlight two aspects to this problem. The first aspect is that maybe the municipality just is not interested in taking part in some kind of participatory initiatives, if they are grassroots initiatives. And the second aspect is that municipalities are very closed as a structure, and they are not ready to get open, to get opened and to listen to the residents. So the question, I think, is to all our speakers today. It is very interesting to hear about your situation in Estonia, in Sweden, and in Ukraine, because Estonia, for instance, is a post-Soviet country, and I think that this municipalities' lack of desire to cooperate was something you experienced too. So maybe, Tove, you have also some experience from around the world. So who would like to be the first?
I go first, if I may. Now, kind of 15 years later, I can very clearly to see that the steps are really small. You even can't see steps 1, 2, or 3 years. But if I look in Estonia, the case in 15 years, then I see very, very clear, gradually growing participation process. And you can't jump in 1 year into somewhere. The level where Sweden, Finland, or countries right now. So I think it's really good to take small small steps, kind of, yes, as you said, that this is my flat, okay, but then we have some corridor or some staircases. Let's make them nice. Let's put somewhere some flower, somewhere something. Let's clean together it. Then you step out from the big panel house and let's make a bench here or something here. And I think here is a important role for architects, or architects' role is to visualize better future. And if it's really right scale or touchable scale or understandable scale visualization, what we can do if we do this and this steps, then this visualization will start work to bring people together, because it's kind of a seed of the plant which can grow. And I think it starts from really where you are living, and then it grows my street, then grows up to my areas, and it grows up to my country. I think it's we need really small steps, and it's for architects. Sometimes it's, come on, that's a flower. Architects are not dealing with the flower, but it's a part of this participation and changing the space. Thank you.
I can just add to that, that one thing that makes such an important process as the participatory process quite vulnerable in starting up is that in many cases it's quite bound to one person working within the municipality or within an organization that has some sort of interest for these very important questions. And that's something that we have experienced a lot in Sweden, that when the person that we had initial contact with quits their job or is inconvenient for some reason, the project isn't it's no longer applicable apparently to the other to the person's colleagues. So it's not it's quite bound to people, and that makes it very vulnerable. And just from that, in other projects that we've been part of, where the municipality or the political level hasn't been interested in the beginning, one way for us to go about it has been, since we usually have these kinds of development projects, it's been a way of bringing funding to the municipality, and that has been a way of getting their interest. And also different partnerships have been of certain interest to municipalities that didn't see the value of the participatory project itself, but like working with the UN and in some cases private sector, that has been a way of getting them on board, from my experience. Yeah.
Right, and I would like also to add here that quite recently we had a case when the municipality came to us and they said, we would like to design a strategy of parks or a few projects of parks in the city, and this, can you help us? And we asked them, have you asked the residents? And they said, yeah, we asked the residents, but the residents say something they know. For instance, they saw some metal playground for children, and they just repeat things that they saw. But we would like, the municipality says, we would like to learn from international experience, maybe something more modern. And we're telling them, have you shown the residents another way? Have you educated them? No, municipality says, but we would like to learn together. So it could be like a vicious circle. So the municipality wants to learn, and actually the residents need learning, and architects really should give a good example and train both parties, both the municipality and the residents. And sometimes the architects just don't know how to go about it. So they could be another stakeholder. And so in this context, I think these formats that you have presented, the hackathon and the dialogue between all the participants is really important. And so the architects must become educators in these processes. Marianna, does Cedos have any recipes how to stimulate municipalities to cooperate with the community? Right. Can you hear me? Unfortunately, I have rather bad connection today, but I would like to try. So we are designing our own methodology, and it is underpinned by participatory action research, and this approach we use to practice research which would bring together the residents, the municipalities, all stakeholders, so that they would be able to research their own users' experience without thinking about the final outcome. It's exactly what Daryna said. When the residents come and they say, well, we know exactly what kind of photo zone we need here, and the municipality can agree or can disagree at once, because it could be difficult, it could be expensive, and they don't want this design in their city. So we are trying to apply another kind of approach, to think together with the residents what they are doing in this space and what they would like to do in this space. And maybe together we can invent some kind of intervention to change their practice, like to see whether they would need those benches or photo zones, or we are going to discuss different processes. So I would like also to say here, in terms of engaging the local sub-governance bodies, I see that it is quite an urgent challenge for Ukraine. Deputies must be curious about their residents, because these were their voters, and it is the responsibility of a people's deputy to ask. So be ready to approach your deputies, and then maybe, well, they really can help with organizing some kind of meeting with the municipality, some specific department, etc. So on the other hand, you can also approach the specific departments responsible for this or that object, like the Department of Ecology or the Department of Infrastructure. And so if, again, if God is with you, if there is a person who is interested there, then yes, you can discuss some developmental projects. And also, it is I absolutely agree that if you approach a community with a certain proposal, not a solution, but a proposal of a project, quite often it really facilitates specific processes. When you show that certain processes, certain projects can improve the city, improve the neighborhood, then these projects can really be conducive to change. And of course, here, another thing is that if you have some private support, it will be much easier to talk to your municipalities. Thank you very much. We have heard quite a lot of options, how you can stimulate various uninterested stakeholders to participate and making them interested. And we have a question to Ülar. Is it possible after the war to conduct such a hackathon? And here I would like to suggest that actually we have a plan to conduct a hackathon much sooner than that. So maybe Ülar can share these plans. And so in general, how to arrange an urban hackathon?
Yeah, we have a dream, I would say. I think to have this urban hackathon more professional, more for everybody and more larger, which is bringing change. I mean, I feel like this change of the minds is needed, but it needs more than 100 or 1,000 people changing of mind of this. We have our common street, our common house, our common space. So we're thinking about having hundreds of the urban hackathons, so that we go, as you already mentioned, that it's like a learning process for ourselves. It's learning process or teaching process of municipalities. I mean, there is even no teaching, because it's everywhere is a learning. I would say that architects are learning together with municipalities or the technical people. So we would hope to have these kind of bigger, longer term and bigger event series, so that so those people who already visited 3-4 hackathons, they already can start up their own hackathon. So that it can spread without us, I would say. This is a kind of dream, and we're working now with finding these municipalities, finding more people, finding resources together with Ro3kvit. So let's see what will happen.
Scaling up sounds good. I hear a lot of positive remarks and hope for more engagement in this, but also signs of it. So that's very good. And what I said in the beginning, actually, all those municipalities who applied, because Marianna, you did this call to municipal workers. But actually in a project about participation where there was not a lot of money involved or anything, but just help in thinking about the participation, there were 91 applicants. So that's also a good sign, I think, that there were municipalities who really want to be engaged and want to join a project like that. So we have a question from Margot Didichenko, I think. At least you raised your hand. So Margot, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the floor. So we have been working quite a lot with municipalities, and Margot represents a Ro3kvit Coalition from Ukraine. So I would like to say that municipalities are interested in participating. Not everyone is interested, but there are quite a few who are. Quite often I get the feedback that people get disillusioned by their previous participation experiences, and so they are reluctant to take an active part in new events. So the instruments that you have showcased today are about inspiration, about quick interaction, but what about long-term results? How can we provide for long-term satisfaction of people about their participation? So how to give them long-term results? Because quite a lot of participation has no tangible result, unfortunately. So, and another challenge here is that we are doing quite a lot of developmental projects with the communities, and they are asking us, we understand that our participation is not representative, but we cannot get on board those people who are disillusioned. So do you have any suggestions what to do to keep people away from disillusionment? Thank you very much.
Should I start? From my perspective with the process that we have, I just wanted to mention that I didn't before. We work over almost 6 months and sometimes longer. So when we work with the same team for that amount of time, we get a very good chance of having dialogue between the non-professionals and the professionals, and that builds that understanding, usually in our case. And it is a sort of educational experience for everyone that's involved, where you can take quite a lot of time to, when we talk about priorities, for instance, when it comes to the different solutions, we also talk about what's actually possible and what's not possible and why, and we talk about material use and so on. So it's a educational opportunity for like architects to share their perspectives with the citizens. So from my perspective, I don't have the same experience, but I think that's because we have such a long process. So for the pilot in Sweden, for instance, it was almost 6 years ago, and it's now that we're seeing that they're actually building something. But it's in line with the sketches that we did in that project. But even before, the girls that were part of the project felt a very strong sense of ownership of the space anyway, because they felt respected and listened to by the municipality. And they saw that when they did like pop-up installations or Christmas lights, it was influenced by their input. So like having, if it's possible, have small victories incorporated in the bigger process. I think that has been very valuable for that pilot anyway. Yeah, and taking the time to actually explain what's what, because I find even when I worked with kids, and they were like 12 years old, and I had so many suggestions of swimming pools everywhere. And then we had a discussion about what do you want with this swimming pool? Is it really suitable to have that on the subway? No, it's not. And they could really understand the value of having another place to do fun stuff, but that didn't involve water. And having the kind of dialogue creates a much more realistic picture of what can be done.
I would add here the same things. It takes time. There is no way that doing hackathon, generally, we have 2 days hackathon, but we also work several months before this hackathon. So we already have a discussion with municipality and different groups of people. So this is the work is also longer, but the hackathon is 2 days. And I think why it's important to make this hackathon fun and dreaming and playing, because there can't be that I'm coming there only if something happens next month. I mean, that's not it will destroy all the beauty of the play. I mean, it should be kind of meeting of people who really enjoy this. This is not hard job or work you're coming to do. It's playing and dreaming, and it's. I think we can't underestimate the play of the thoughts with the thoughts. That if this is enough strongly done or very strongly and openly done, then it will work. But it takes time. There is no question that things are happening after 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, and just that's why it needs to be enjoying the process also. Thanks.
There is a question in the Q&A very related to this one, basically. Again, to you, Ülar. It's from Dimitro von Zitomer, and he asked, like, what ways of implementation do you have after those urban forums or urban hackathons? Could you give maybe an example of a project that led to something that was actually implemented, and then how did you do that? Or is that a too difficult question for this short period of an urban hackathon?
Yes, I think our Ukrainian friends maybe know a little bit more or more clearly what they changed, but the same things. It takes time. I think I don't think that in these today resources and municipality kind of resources. Yes, there is a lack of people and lack of money and lack of situation of what we everybody know what is going on. So I think it takes time. Maybe after half year, then next year, maybe we have to do a next urban hackathon after a year in Sutomor, because of its things are more clear and we can more exactly bring up the task. And if the task is more clear, then the results are more clear. So I think it's process of it. So maybe from Ro3kvit somebody knows some moves more better.
But I think it's then also very important, which kind of, and it's related again to Margot's question, related to the expectations that you give to the people who participate. Because if you give them the expectation that something will change after they participated, and now indirectly, then of course the disappointment is very big. And if you frame it in a different way, that they're part of a process that maybe is interesting for them as well in some point, or I really like your idea, Tove, to implement in your whole process this kind of little achievements, that at least you have a very nice party in the end, or small things to play with, or something that is a direct result as well. Sorry, yeah, Daryna, go.
Right, and I would like to say also that when we started working, we are like trying to get some security for ourselves, so to say. So together with our Dutch partners in Ro3kvit today, we are implementing a project which is supported by the government of the Netherlands. And so this is a participatory project, and it concerns the Ukrainian communities. And we are trying to get plan B, let's say, for this project. So we are suggesting that the municipalities, the communities apply together with NGOs, and this is our request. And so, for instance, if the municipality decides not to participate further on, then maybe the NGO will continue. So this is our plan B, let's say. And so we will see also that we see the project going on. So at the very start, we are trying to give a guarantee that the project will go on, and that the community will be committed to this project, and the project will be sustainable because it is already rooted in the community and as stimulated by the NGOs.
I see one more hand. It's from Volker Treffers, and that will be, I guess, our last question, looking at the time slot. So, Volker, I give you the floor.
It wasn't really a question. It was actually more like a contribution, but I think of a question right away. Contribution.
It's good as well.
Now, what I have this question about, does it cost a lot of time very often as well? But actually, I usually tend to turn it around. It's a very time efficient way to have a lot of good ideas, to have in a short time many people talking on the same subject and getting what I call the same agenda for the city. Maybe some of those things will lead to a project within the framework of what you're working on. Maybe some of them will wait, but they take a little longer. But the most important is it's a very efficient, compact way very often to really work together on this, as if like the thing you are working together on the same city with the same questions, with some kind of the same solutions. So I always say that it's very time efficient instead of that it takes a lot of time. So that would be my contribution to this part. And I didn't think of another question yet, so I'll leave it with this.
Okay, then I think with that we can wrap up. Daryna, do you have something to add or ask?
Right. I would like to express my gratitude to everyone and to call you to be active, to be in participatory processes in your city. So start by planting flowers next to your windows. So it could be a good step.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I like that. Maybe wait a month when the temperature. But it's a real nice idea, and it's I like to express also my thanks to our panelists to make the time for doing this. To everybody, I would say come to our next lecture, which is coming up in March, which is a completely different topic, namely wood, building with wood in Ukraine. What is it take? What are the possibilities? What are the regulations? What are the restraints? But mostly, what are the huge advantages and opportunities to build in wood, with contributions from both Ukrainian, let's call them woodworkers, and from the Netherlands. So stay tuned. Look also at our YouTube channel and follow other lectures. And if you want to stay involved in what we do, become part of our newsletter from Ro3kvit. You get the latest news on our projects, and also the lecture program will come to you. So wish you a very good night. We are exactly at 19:30, so that is Dutch time, so 8:30 for most of you. Thank you very much, and see you next time.